Hello everybody, and welcome to Rest and Reason. I'm RP the Red Panda, and today we're going to be looking at a wonderful little card game, Boba Mahjong. Boba Mahjong actually feels a lot like this.
Boba Mahjong. Is it really about boba tea? Or is it about numbers? Yes, that's right. This game is about numbers. The numbers in your hands being used with the numbers in the mixing piles, to put numbers in your tableau, to stop the other people from getting the numbers that they need for their tableau, using their numbers from their hand with the numbers in the mixing bowl. Yes, this game really is best called Number Mahjong.
Now, Boba Mahjong has an excellent little game of set collection. Now, set collection is whenever you're going for either numerical matches or straights. You put those cards out, you're going to be using them to get points. Now, Boba Mahjong actually takes this idea and modifies it a little bit, but I'll talk a little bit more about that during Novelty of the mechanics. Alright, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of the review. Before I start the nitty-gritty of the review, I'm going to mention a little bit of a change that I'm going to be doing with this review. Instead of telling you every single time verbally what my points are going to be for each section, I'm instead just going to show those points up on the screen and give a very brief reason for why. Then I will highlight 2 or 3 of the sections to show why I thought this game was either really good at something or really bad at something specifically. Now let's start with replayability. This game is very replayable, especially because if you find a new opponent, it's going to be a whole new set of challenges, and every single time your hand's going to be different, and what cards you're going to be going for, and what cards your opponents are going to be going for will change.
More tea, please.
This game is also quite masterable. The only luck involved in this game is whether or not your opponent might get that card that you really need and be able to just hold on to it for the rest of the game. Aside from that, you can pretty much completely master this game. In Novelty of mechanics, this game really takes this old idea of set collection and updates it with this really cool idea of using your sets to get only one card out of each set. In this game, you're going to be playing 3 cards, and whenever you play 3, you're going to keep 1 in your tableau, which means a bunch of cards in front of you, to score at the end of the game. This really updates the mechanic in a way that I find quite exciting. In Synergy of the Mechanics, this game gets a 5 out of 5. It is just an absolutely excellently meshed together game.
Good tea.
Every single little piece goes together so well that I find myself really delving deep into the puzzle because of how well each and every little mechanic fits together. And one of my favorite parts about this is the scoring system. The scoring system is so precise that every single path to victory has almost the same amount of points. And each of those sections only has a difference in points based on how much harder it is to do that type. But it's only a small difference. So every road to victory could probably get you a victory in this game, but some of them reward you a little bit more because they are a little more difficult. This game is very, very simple. A game that I think pretty much anybody could play, except maybe a very young child. Now, this game isn't super universal, and that's only because only 2 players can play it.
2? Tea for 2.
And therefore, you can't play it in many situations unless you have 2 players. But the box is so small, and the area you need to play it is so small, that you can even play it in a hotel room on the bed. In mechanical and artistic theme, I wanted to take a moment to highlight that this, I do think, is probably the worst part of the game. And that's not an insult to the designers or to the people who did the art.
Thanks again for the tea.
But the game isn't super thematic. It doesn't really feel like you're making a boba tea until the end of the game. And throughout the game, it kind of just feels like a normal old card game. And that's not an insult to this game at all. It's just saying that if you're coming in thinking, this game's going to feel really thematic, it doesn't feel very thematic. It's not super sweet and cuddly and warm like the art kind of tries to say. It's actually a real brain burner that takes a lot of thought to outwit your opponent and block and beat your opponent. And honestly, kind of reminds me more of fencing than of boba tea. Now, after saying that, in thought, it's a very, very thinky game, but you're not as much thinking through the problem of the game itself as much as how to counter your opponent, which means it is an excellent simple game. But that it's not necessarily as high in thought as some games where you really have to think through the game, not your opponent. In energy, this game just gives you such a peaceful, relaxing, fun, head-to-head energy.
I don't need any calming tea!
That you want to play it over and over again with your spouse, or your friend, or whoever you end up playing this with. You're going to want to play several times to see if you can outwit and outfox them this time. In total score, I give this game a 4.2 out of 5. Now, this game is really, really excellent. That's why it gets a 4.2. That means it's thoroughly above average, and I would say it's probably, in my opinion, the best purely card game on the market. And for $10, it is a real steal. So get over to that Kickstarter and fund this thing, because the designer of this game truly deserves a commendation of your money, and you truly deserve to enjoy this game.
Here's tea. That's my trade. Quincy Endicott's health tea.
Your tea sounds good.
So I have a question for you guys. Do you guys think that card games are inherently abstract? That means, do you think that card games can't really have a strong theme? The only one I can think of that has a strong theme is Pit. And therefore, I kind of conclude that, yes, in general, card games are going to be athematic. But I'd love to hear from you guys what you think. Now, I would love you all to join our little group of happy little bobas, just like these, in our little teacup called Rest and Reason. So go ahead down into that description and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button so that you never miss an episode and so that you can really join and engage with this community. And as always, thank you so much for joining us on Rest and Reason.